There was a moment in my life when God allowed me to see myself more clearly, and it shook me, not to break me, but to awaken me. For a long time, I believed that if I did everything right, if I read more, disciplined myself, worked harder than others, then my life would change. But it did not. I kept returning to the same states, the same inner struggles, the same quiet disappointments. It felt as if I was constantly carrying a burden uphill, only to see it fall back each time I grew tired. And slowly, with God's help, I began to understand. I was not doing the wrong things, but my heart was not in the right place. Inside me, there was unrest, a subtle anxiety, a quiet voice whispering, "It is not enough. You must do more." And without realizing it, even my effort was touched by this lack. I spoke about faith, yet I carried fear. I spoke about hope, yet I held on to doubt. And then God showed me something essential. Life does not respond to how much I strive, but to the state of my heart before Him. Not to how much I do, but to who I am when I stand in His presence. I realized I could no longer live divided, seeking God with my lips while my heart remained restless. So I stopped forcing. I became still. I learned to quiet myself, to descend into my heart, and there to meet God. I began to ask differently. Do I act from fear or from trust in God? Do I try to control or do I surrender to His will? Do I live as if I lack or as one who has already received from Him? And each time I felt that inner unrest, I chose not to act. First, I became still. I prayed. I remembered who I am before God, not by my effort, but by His love. And only then did I move forward. And slowly, something began to change. Not suddenly, but deeply. Things began to settle. People responded differently. Situations that once exhausted me became lighter, not because I did more, but because I was no longer fighting within myself. I came to understand it is not about forcing life. It is about resting in the will of God, because there is a holy stillness that works more than effort ever could, a living faith that opens doors without noise. And when I reached that place, I stopped chasing results. I remained in truth, in peace, in what is clean before God. And life began to respond not to my striving, but to my alignment with Him. Because when a soul rests in faith, God works quietly but surely. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act. And I understood, I do not have to force everything. I only have to believe, to remain, and to let God work.